This is your PIR for Tuesday, March 15th, 2022. All the facts you need to know for the Patriot on the go. Patriot to the world. Hope you're doing well. Oh, yeah, this is the Ides of March, March 15th, historically known as the day that Caesar was assassinated by his own Senate. Yes, he was actually warned by some seers, if you will, some visionaries in oracles in ancient Rome to beware the Ides of March. They didn't tell him why, but told him to beware, and it was on that very day that he ceased to be no more. Interesting. Alrighty, what will we see today? Let's get right into it. Announcements. Oh, I did not do the interview with Ron yesterday. Obviously, I did not post it last night. Hopefully, it'll be rescheduled for the future. I will let you know. Already, Item 1 Space Weather brought to us by Laura Walker of theoraclereport.com. Mercury attempts to part the clouds in order to help us see clearly. Today is 8 Monkey, the keeper of time, and the sun is discharging. A new moon reveals it is time for people to go ahead with their different projects. How can we apply things in other directions? How can we diversify, respond, reorganize, and cordon off? The Archons use this energy to divide and conquer people and to sow seeds of discontent. The time has run out for the dark forces, and we are separating ourselves from their systems. The time has come for we the people, and we are uniting. Wow, very true and very powerful space weather there. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, divide and conquer. Kind of gets into some of the geopolitical I'm going to speak about here in a moment. But first, let's go to our next item, which is Item 2, Economics, Currencies, Cryptos, Equities, Precious Metals. Nothing major to report. Up or down 10% or more. We do have some interesting downward movements. Crude oil is down 6%, actually. We're looking at gold at $1,924 right now. Silver is at $24.93, and crude oil $96.37. All of those are down. Yeah, the markets seem to have stabilized here. It's interesting. I think the stabilization is based upon a lot of false information. Without a doubt, I know it is. And we will see. This is not, obviously, we have not run into the potential black swan event. And again, I have an idea what it may be, and I'm not going to say it. But there's going to be something potentially that happens that will really bring down this house of cards. Anyway, holding that to myself. Crypto, take a look at that. Yeah, no major changes. Bitcoin 38,811. Nothing even up or down of 1% or more. So everything is very flatlined and very controlled right now. So that's it for the economic side. But no, there are things and positionings happening all around the world behind the scenes. So hopefully you have pre-positioned yourself well in whatever investment that you have chosen and that you are blessed by it. Hold that thought and know it's going to happen. Because things can happen at the oddest times. When it seems like the entire financial world is falling down, boom, people have become very wealthy. Depends on how you're positioned. And I think a lot of it's energetic too. Well, I take that back. I know it is. So stay positive, everyone. All right, let's go to our next item. Item 3, geopolitical. Wow. Okay, the clown show in the United States continues. I'm not even going to cover any of it. It's outlandish. In the empire of lies, it's just off the charts. But know this one thing, they are really pushing a false flag. And what I'm going to do for the geopolitical side of this today is I'm going to actually play a video. Hold on a second, set something up here. I'm going to play a video from a gentleman who's living right now in Ukraine. He's right there. And he speaks English. His name is Gonzalo Lira. And he's a businessman, and he's been there right from the beginning when this whole thing started. And he just tells it like it is. And he's very unbiased. He does business with the Ukrainians. His friends are Ukrainians, but he knows Russians also. And this gentleman has been reporting such truth that they're trying to get him. The Secret Service, I guess, or the special services that are in Ukraine of the Ukrainian military are trying to track him down because he goes online and tells the truth of what's really going on. So the geopolitical section I have today is going to be this video. I'm going to play it right now for you. It's like 8 minutes long, and I'm also going to put a description of this in a link to this in the description box. Oh, by the way, anybody who follows Russell Bentley out of Donbass, his entire YouTube channel has been nuked. All the videos are gone, and we haven't heard from him in a few days. So just be aware of that. So anyway, the title of this video is "A False Flag is Coming," and this was out. He put this out yesterday. So here we go.
So the Americans are planning a false flag operation in Ukraine. The word is that they plan to use chemical weapons in Ukraine, probably Kharkov, where I'm located right now. And the word is that they want to use chemical weapons because NATO and the United States have said that chemical weapons are a red line, and if anybody uses chemical weapons, then we'll invade and blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now, the reason that they're saying this is because the mainstream media in the United States is claiming that the Ukrainians are winning this war against Russia, and that the Russians are just outmatched, and out of desperation, the narrative goes in the United States, the Russians are going to use chemical weapons, and that's why we have to stop them. We have to go in there and be the cavalry, the white hats riding in on our white horses and show those evil Ruskies that chemical weapons are a no-no. Well, this is a big lie. Right now, the Russians are winning this war, and winning it decisively. The fact is that the Ukrainian army, and this is not saying anything about their heroism or bravery, I'm just talking about military facts, their command and control system is completely broken. The Ukrainian forces do not have an overall defensive strategy. For all intents and purposes, each unit is on its own. The Russians have successfully surrounded Kiev and Kharkov, the major cities. They've also surrounded and are in the process of pacifying Mariupol. So in the end, the Russians are winning. And most important of all, the Russians seem to have completely surrounded and are currently, in all likelihood, annihilating the 60,000 strong army of the Ukrainians, which is currently in eastern Ukraine. Not many people are talking about it, but you should pay attention to that. That's really important. Because, of course, those 60,000 men represent the cream of the crop of the Ukrainian armed forces. And they are surrounded. And not only are they surrounded, there is no possibility of them being refueled or resupplied. So it's only a matter of time. And again, I insist this is not besmirching or belittling the bravery or heroism and fighting ability of these men. I'm just talking about the practical military reality. The Russians at this stage of the war are essentially have surrounded all of their principal targets, and they are slowly putting in the pieces to either overwhelm them, overrun them, or annihilate them. It's as simple as that. A lot of people look at a map of Ukraine and they say, well, the Russians don't seem to have advanced. They haven't covered the middle of the country. Well, yeah, because in Ukraine, which is roughly triangular in shape, the outside edges are what matter. On the north, you have Kiev. Over to the east, you have Kharkov. To the south, you have the Sea of Azov and Mariupol. And to the west, you have Odessa. It's over in Ukraine. The Russians have won. And in Washington, they're aware of this. And so because they're aware of it, they are panicking. And they have been telegraphing their intentions for quite a while. They've been talking about how the Russians are going to stage a chemical attack, and that's a lie. The Russians have no interest in staging a chemical attack because, number one, they're winning. And number two, see, chemical weapons are incredibly unpredictable. If you have a military that is winning decisively, you have no need to insert such a random piece of equipment as chemical weapons, because it can go anywhere. It can cause all kinds of havoc on your own army. So you're not going to do that as a practical military matter. And thirdly, the Russians would never do it because they recognize that it would be the political excuse for the United States and NATO to intervene in this war. And the Russians don't want that. But the Russians don't want it, but they're prepared for it. Because, as I've said from the very beginning, they've clearly been holding back their best soldiers, their best planes, their best equipment in case of NATO intervention. And a lot of people in the United States keep insisting that NATO has to impose a no-fly zone over Ukraine. That's impossible. The Russians have the air defense systems to knock down NATO planes, American planes. Russia's air power is strong enough to take on American air power and potentially hurt it badly, potentially defeat it, and likely defeat it, quite frankly, because it'll be on Russia's front doorstep. But there are a lot of people in the United States who want a war. A lot of people, and a surprising number of people. There are people like in the economic sphere, like Paul Krugman. He wants a war with Russia because he thinks that war will improve the American economy, insane as that may sound. And he actually thinks that, by the way. Then there are people like Mitt Romney, who are finger puppets of the arms manufacturers. And he wants a war because it'll be more money for defense. And then there are these crazy neocons, who want a war out of this weird egotism. They're the inheritors of John McCain. John McCain, a man who was imprisoned, captured by the Vietnamese, and he never got over that. And his inheritors want a war because of psychological reasons of their own. I mean, talk about small penis energy. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. And so there are other people too. Of course, the Joe Biden administration wants a war because it will distract from the collapsing American economy. I mean, all these different people in the United States want a war for their own benefit, and they will stop at nothing. And they will go ahead and do horrible things, including convincing Ukrainian elements to use ammonium and God knows what other chemicals on civilians to create a false flag excuse for American and NATO intervention in this situation. So if you're American, you should understand that the media is lying to you. The Russians are winning, clearly winning. And I don't need anybody to report and tell me that the Russians are winning. I can tell all on my own. You know how? Because every day I hear the shelling of the Russians, and it's getting closer every day. I'm in the center of Kharkov. I'm, of course, not going to say where because, SBU goons want to get their hands on me, but I'm here, and I'm telling you, every day the Russians are getting closer. Every day. So I know that they're winning. And reports from across Ukraine prove that they're winning. So would a winning army do something this foolish? No. But a desperate army, like the Ukraine army, or not the Ukraine army, no, because I think that the Ukraine army are respectable men. The Zelensky regime, which is desperate, the Zelensky regime filled with neo-fascists and thugs and murderers and thieves, those thugs of the Zelensky regime, they want NATO intervention. They've been calling it from day one. And if they figure that doing a chemical attack false flag will get NATO in, they will not hesitate, not for a second. So understand what's going on. I'm here to tell you what is going on. The Zelensky regime and different factions in the United States mean to start a false flag so that they can get involved in this war. And the only people who will be hurt are the Ukrainian people and the American people. Because you will lose. Because for the Russians, they will fight to the last man over this. For them, it's existential. So understand what's going on. And if you can, tell people far and wide what's going on. You don't have to take my word for it. I always tell you, you don't have to take my word for stuff. Go out and check for yourself. Everything I've told you is true. And this is what's happening. And you should be aware of it.
So there you go. And again, I will be putting the link to this in the description box. So, wait one minute. All right. And that basically sums it up, what's going on. You know, the advances that the Russians are making, and, you know, a lot of people, and I had discussed this before, I do believe, you know, you're getting a lot of commentary from armchair generals and so-called experts in the American media and European media. Oh, Russia's bogged down. No, they're not. They do something called, they create cauldrons. This is a maneuver that the Russians have used since the time of the Napoleonic Wars. They surround an area and they basically siege it. They don't go in like the United States and do a shock and awe bomb and just go in and kill hundreds of thousands of people. No, they cordon off an area and they wait it out. And they will do specific strikes in and out, but they cut off anything coming in, anything coming out. And that's how they do their modes of war. It's called the cauldron warfare theory. It's very effective, and they've used it numerous times with great effectiveness over the centuries, literally, and in recent history. So anyway, that is what the true situation is going on. And if you hear that there was a false flag, or not a false flag, a chemical attack, it will be a false flag, because they would not do that. There's no reason for them to do that. And yeah, just be advised about that, because this could potentially happen at any point. So we'll keep an eye on this. And that's it for geopolitical right now. Be advised of this, people. Very serious stuff. Alrighty. I want to add something else too. Apparently, the Ukraine has come out and said they will no longer be taking applications or accepting foreign mercenaries from foreign nations into Ukraine to fight, because after they lost like 200 of them, a lot of them have run away, and it's becoming like a public information nightmare, or political nightmare for some of the nations who sent people there. There's still no count on how many American mercenaries have been killed, but they are saying there were dozens of them killed in the ballistic missile strike, or the cruise missile strike on the training center right there in near the Polish border, of all the mercenaries. So anyway, that's going on. Let's see what else. That is about it geopolitically. Keep an eye on this stuff. All right, moving right along. Item 4, Earth changes. Nothing really to report. Not a lot going on around the world, and that's a good thing. So, yeah, again, Earth changes has been very quiet. Very interesting. So, and again, like I said, that's a good thing. So moving right along, let's go to item 5, tip of the day. Tip of the day I have for you relates to all of this stuff we're talking about. There's also something going on in China. I should have mentioned this in the economic section. Shenzhen, China, and a couple other major manufacturing and export centers in China have been put on total lockdown, and by the Chinese government. Not really sure how long this will be, but also China is tightening their alliances with Russia, and they may be doing a de facto kind of like clandestine embargo themselves. So we could see more shortages in the future, and things could become difficult to find. You know, like I said, the markets are being highly controlled right now, but we could get into a situation, a warfare type situation, where, you know, supplies are limited on things. So the tip of the day I have for you is to make sure you check your preps. Anything you've been waiting on or thinking about, if you can afford to do so, you should stock up on it now. Or in other words, quite frankly, get it while the getting's good, okay? Because things may get odd, especially if they pull this false flag off and the United States says they're going to do a no-fly zone, or they do something, NATO jumps. Yeah, this could go global real fast. So you need to be aware of this. This is a very serious situation we're looking at here. This isn't something to toy with. And during World War II, we historically look back to major conflicts like World War II, even World War I. There were shortages of products, and that we had shortages of products here in the United States, and I know you did in Europe too. And that's when most of our manufacturing was done at home. Imagine now when we import everything, and we don't have major manufacturing base, and we're major importers. So tip of the day, keeping in mind all this geopolitical stuff that's going on. Check your preps, top things off as you can afford, because we could potentially, very quickly, in combination with what's going on in China, what's happening in Europe, get into a situation really quick where there's not a lot of stuff on the shelves. So be advised. Alrighty, last but not least is the prophetic word of the day by Doug Addison. Doug has for us today, March 15th, 2022. This is a major turning point in the spiritual realm. Amen. A major turning point in the spiritual realm. That's interesting. I'm ready for things to turn. You ready for things to turn? Oh, I am too. So let's do this. Make it so. Alrighty, so that's it, everyone. Short, sweet, and to the point for the day. Until tomorrow, everyone, be well, stay alert, stay positive, stay very, very positive. Don't be fearful of any of this stuff. Be wise about it, face it head on, and do your best to prepare so you can live a happy, victorious life during tumultuous times, right? But also remember, globally, no matter what's going on, this is a great awakening, and where we go one, we go all. God bless.